Trev and I are here to draft a Week 6 NFL best ball team on Draftkings. Let's go.
Three, two, one, liftoff.
Trev, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty well. I was a little worried starting the season off a little slower than I would have liked. Every time you check that earnings screen, you're like, Then we get the DJ Moore game. Nice little Devon A-Chain going off in the past couple weeks. So I've been feeling a lot better about the season recently. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm doing about the same. It's been a little bit of a slow start for me. I'm heavily invested in the Dolphins, so that's been nice. But I have a lot of Waddle. So his week he missed, and then last week wasn't much. It's a little tough, but I'm feeling pretty good overall.
Yeah, you always want the bad teams to just squeak in. That's what we're really shooting for here. So every time I see a bad player, I've got a bunch of like Chig. He's gonna go crazy down the stretch. But right now, he can keep laying low. We'll be all right.
Just need him in the playoffs, right?
Just 1 or 2 games.
Yeah. So we have a fun draft started here today. Now, want to get your take on it. Have you done any of the DK in-season games yet?
I have not done any of the DK in-season. I've done a couple of the resurrections over on Underdog, but as you're about to say, there's a couple differences here.
Yeah, couple differences. So the tournament we're going to draft today released about 20 minutes ago. It's $20,000 to first, which is pretty nice for an in-season tournament. It is starting week 6, so not this weekend's games, but next Thursday's game. So we're about 6 days out from the first game of this tournament. It's week 6, and then it goes to week 14, and then the playoffs are the same. Week 15, week 16, week 17. So it's basically rest of season best ball. Fantastic times to be had.
It's really interesting, especially, you got players coming back from injury, Breece Hall, Cooper Kupp, like where are they going in, versus before the season started. And then, the Chargers, for example, the Browns, those guys who had the week 5 buys, you get players without bye weeks. Is that going to move them up the board? There's a couple of things to think about here that are, just only a little bit different, but it's also smaller sample size, just week 6 to 14 to make it in. So it could be a little more important.
Yeah, when the season condenses like that, those 4 teams that are on bye this week should be drafted a little bit earlier. That's the Browns, the Chargers, the Seahawks, and the Buccaneers. Maybe we'll get a Baker Mayfield stack going today.
I mean, those are some of the more interesting teams, I'd say. We have Keenan Allen, who Mike Williams unfortunately went down for the season, and Eckler's been just absent since week 1 where he went off and then got injured. And the Buccaneers are surprisingly competent, which who would have thought? Not me, And then JSN, he's been a huge name in the offseason. He's getting about 1 yard per reception, which about 3 catches a game, It's not too pretty for him. But I think there's a lot of options, like just with those 4 teams where they should be moving up, and they're definitely a lot more interesting.
All right. And our lobby's about to fill, so we're going to go ahead and get this shared up now, and we'll go through a few last details about this tournament. So a couple interesting things. When we open the ADP, we can actually see that these look like the April or May ADPs that are loaded at the start of these tournaments. So we can see here, we still have Jamar Chase going 3rd overall, but other guys that you all should be on the lookout for, Nick Chubb, still 21st overall. It will auto draft you, Nick Chubb, if you are not paying attention. Guys like Puka, guys like Kyron Williams, Justice Hill, they're all buried. So it's kind of a really interesting dynamic of when we get in these rooms, what drafters will know to go and, hey, get some of those late round guys that aren't in the ADP, and who else, and other people are just going to be drafting straight off ADP. So we're going to have to keep some of those guys in mind as we get going here.
Yeah, and especially on DraftKings because we are in season, so a lot of players are on the injury reports, a lot of Q tags. Normally on DraftKings,
Mhm.
you see those players, they will fall around, sometimes even more because people are like, "Oh, Q tag, I don't want to touch them." I don't know how different it will be in season, but it's definitely something to look out for. I'm seeing Eckler up there. He's on bye right now, like we said. Assuming he's healthy for next week, he was practicing last week. Is he going to fall into the middle of the second round because people don't want to touch that injury? I have no idea, but that's something I'm really interested if we can just scoop value throughout the draft.
I mean, I might push for Eckler top 5 overall pick in this tournament.
It's it's definitely tempting. I mean,
Yeah.
CMC's proven that he is the guy on San Francisco. Eli Mitchell's been injured, so he's not even seen the field really, just CMC all day. Eckler, hard to make a case for anyone else.
Yeah. Well, we'll have not a top 5 pick here today. We're gonna be drafting at the number 9, which I think is completely fine. Uh, Hopefully, we'll get one of the players sliding down the board. The last thing I wanted to go over is kind of the payout structure here. So it's your standard 4 rounds. First round is through week 14, week 15, week 16, week 17. Week 17, pretty big difference. Only an 8-person final, but we're talking about a $19,000 difference between first place and 8th place. So we're really shooting for first overall in this tournament.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, normally you see it drop in half. 6,000 to 20,000, even from first to second, is pretty ridiculous when just from the prize pool
Yeah.
standpoint. But I do love the smaller tournaments for the final round. Just if you get in, you've got a real sweat. No matter how dead you think your team is, your 18th round guy goes for 2 touchdowns, and you're living the dream right there.
Yeah. I mean, I love the $20,000, but if you can turn $20 into 1,000, that's still a good Sunday.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'm not saying no to that.
All right. So we have the number 9 pick here. Any guys that are kind of in the top round here that you're thinking, man, I just really want them if they get it to us?
We mentioned Eckler. I think that's
Hmm.
definitely the most interesting. Other than that, I mean, I think it's pretty similar, especially with the guys up top. Jefferson, we know he's great. McCaffrey, we know he's great. Chase is definitely an interesting one. I think it really
Hmm.
depends what you think about Burrow. Is he going to be okay? They do have a bye week coming up, which gives me a little bit of hope that, he rests up in that bye week. They come back week 8 and they're back to business. And we have seen Jamar. He had the one game where, wasn't absolutely insane, but he had 10 catches, over 100 yards. He can still produce. He's still elite.
Hmm.
So those are the guys I think are certainly interesting up top.
Yeah. And where we're sitting at number 9, I'd really like to try to get a running back. I know. I work at Spike Week. We don't draft running backs here. Oh, there goes Eckler. That was probably a good choice. Running back gets really nasty in these in-season DK tournaments, like very nasty quick. So I'm a little bit, let's get one in at least an anchor and be done with it, more than I am in the off season.
Yeah, even start of the offseason to the end, running backs start to get uglier down the board. And now it's especially true because we have guys going down. We have ugly committees in some places. You know, we're
Yeah.
talking about
You
Justice
even,
Hill and Melvin Gordon's now running there too in a 3-way committee. So there's a lot of places that you don't want to touch. But we're coming up here. I mean, if Kelsey falls to us, I would love that.
yeah, I think
Uh,
that's pretty easy. Oh, there he goes.
I'm looking. AJ Brown's been absolutely dominant. I'm not sure. We could look at Cup. We could scroll down. What are you thinking here?
I almost want to see if we could push Cup around the corner.
All right, we want to go with AJ or switch over to running backs and see if there's anyone else that's.
Um,
Uh,
Pollard.
Paul, I'm fine with Pollard. Let's go for
Okay,
that.
let's do it. Now that's one of the keys there. He wasn't even showing off of ranks, but Tony Pollard's a first round running back.
He
Could we have
has
took
the.
AJ Brown? Sure, but
We've always talked about years past. Zeke goes down, Tony Pollard's the guy, and then he kept the exact same role. Rico Dowdle works in a little bit, but Tony Pollard has been the guy all season, and he's getting a lot of receptions. Their receiving core, we thought maybe Brandon Cooks would make it a little better. It's middling. They don't need to pass a lot recently. Their defense has been dominant, but Pollard is out there, and he's still going to have those explosive games down the stretch of 30 points, 25 points, just absolutely going off. And, I think that it was a little bit like dumb of us not us in particular, but just everyone saying, Pollard second round, like they don't have anyone else. We're worried about Ronald Jones and Deuce Vaughn. Like, come on.
Yeah. We can see a pretty interesting board play out. One guy that I was going to mention at 2-4 was possibly Keenan Allen. He's slipping up to the first round here. Draftkings, PPR, 100-yard bonus. He's already had his bye by the time this tournament starts. He was going to be a sneaky pick there, I was going to suggest, but Dave Fred over here in the 12 got ahead of us.
He was on it. And, those are kind of the big guys we're seeing coming off the board. Taylor, God, I wonder where Taylor is going to go. I think that's super interesting. Just he's practicing. Is he going to play for the team?
Yeah. To me, this kind of comes down to Taylor, Adams, or Lamb.
I would be going for Lamb here. I know Rob right here isn't going to take Devontae, but I don't want
He might want to, capitulate just a little bit.
I do like CD and just saying we're taking most of the Dallas offense.
Look at this playoff schedule. I want guys that play those three teams.
That's pretty nice. And yeah, it's Pollard and Lamb are a majority of the touches in that offense. Their defense is dominant. They haven't needed to pass, like I said before. They've had some nice matchups. Like not every game is going to be 40-0, have the Cowboys defense and it's the showdown captain,
Yeah.
It's been impressive, and it never stays like that for an entire season.
All right. So I put Devon Achane in our queue just so we could have a little conversation about him here while we're waiting around for our next pick. He's at player 128 in the default ADP. Where are you feeling comfortable with him?
The one thing that I won't even say worries me, I do want to see how the backs are deployed once Jeff Wilson is back. They paid him not a lot of money, but they paid him. They paid Mostert. They obviously want to use them. How much work will he be getting once all three of them are active and playing? And it's either of them could get injured again. They're both veterans, but 45 points one week and then 30 last week. He's definitely worth a third, fourth round pick, regardless.
Yeah.
I think do you want to try to squeeze value because he's so far down the board? What's your approach on this situation?
Well, that's kind of why I brought it up, is I hesitate, and it also comes down to where do you want him? I think he's probably a third round, fourth round pick, kind of where you're identifying. Maybe, I would take him over Josh Jacobs any day of the week. So maybe he's a second round pick, but we have this odd situation going on of how much can we push it? Are our draft mates going to go and find these people? How much are they going to under or overreact based on the situations that's already occurred this year? And Jeff Wilson coming back, I have tons of Jeff Wilson, but after watching Achane, watching Mostert, Jeff's going to mix in, but not as much as I thought 3 months ago. So I've adjusted my prior some. So I don't know if you wanted them here at 3.9, or if we want to see if we can get it to 4.4, I'm totally into it. But we also have a couple other guys that are going to be pretty interesting that we might want to pull up the draft board too, like Puka. Puka is going to be a little bit scared off with Kupp coming back. We also have Kyron Williams we could pull up. He's probably a top 10 back the rest of the way. So kind of where does Achane fall for you in that group of players is a big question of if we want him in the third.
I think he's worth a third round pick for sure. Just it's an elite offense. He is the lead guy. I think if Wilson was completely out of the picture, different universe where he doesn't sign with the Dolphins and everything else plays out the exact same way, I'm probably pushing for him in the second round because we know what his role is going to be and we know how he's going to produce, even against the Bills, which is a pretty good defense. They only scored 20 and he's still out there going for over 100. You know, they're not scared to give him work just because he's small.
For
But
sure.
with Wilson, like you said, I don't think he's working in much. I think he's taking more from Mostert. And still, if he's getting 50% of the backfield carries in that offense, I think 3.9 is a value, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. So there goes Puka. So let's kind of look at taking him here at 3.9. We'll take a quick glance at what else is on the board. There's not a tight end for me here. Oh, there goes H-Hand. Darn it. Are you interested in something like Jalen Hurts here at all?
I'm definitely interested in Hurts. Can you hit over the wide receiver tab really quick? That's not too pretty, man. I think Hurts.
Let's take a quick look at running backs
for me.
It would be Etienne or Breece Hall. Oh, Hurts goes.
Man, I think I'm Breece or Etienne. Etienne has the role, and we know it's probably a better offense. I feel like they might just be sticking with Zach Wilson, which does scare me.
Yeah.
So I lean Etienne, but Hall is a tremendous talent. So
yeah, we'll see. Maybe Hall will come back around.
Definitely.
I feel way better at filling the other positions in this tournament. There goes Hall. I feel
that
way
guy seems
better
like a good drafter right there.
Yeah. Probably was hoping for Jalen Hurts to come back to the AJ Brown and Jonathan Taylor team. I feel way better than some of the drafts I've done where I tried 0 RB in season here. We can find wide receivers. That's not going to be a problem. Kyron, I was hoping maybe he'd come.
Well, I think I was going to say the main benefit about 0 RB in the offseason is there are those guys like Kyron where it's ambiguous and we're making a stand on them. We're saying, all right, we're going. And then they pay off almost instantly. Now we've seen almost everything play out, so you don't get those ambiguous discounts nearly as much.
Yeah. So we've really hit a tier cliff at wide receiver. Are you interested in any of these wide receivers here? Maybe a T. Higgins, we got 10 seconds, or maybe a Detroit running back?
I like Higgins here or Hawkinson, honestly.
Let's go Higgins. We had 3 seconds, and we were already on the wide receiver tab.
There we go. Yeah, I think that the Bengals, they're going to figure it out. They start slow every year for whatever reason. There's a reason for them starting slow with the injuries, and it hasn't been a super easy schedule. Ravens are pretty solid defense. Browns, pretty solid defense. Don't know what happened in that Titans game. But assuming everything gets worked out, they're going to be passing the ball still. They're not running the ball very well whatsoever. So T. Higgins, he could even play this week. Fractured rib, I believe. Not the worst injury. It shouldn't impact the performance. I think it's more of a pain tolerance thing. Not a doctor, not medical advice. Don't play football if you fractured your rib. But I like it.
I think it gives us a really nice dynamic in that week 17 final 8 team. I mean, he's a guy that can get 2 touchdowns and 100-something yards, no problem. So building out to, hey, we really want first in week 17. It's in a game against the Chiefs. We could look for some Rashee Rice later. I like the pick.
Yeah, and I think especially in season, we've seen results. So we're very, what's helped us recently. T. Higgins in week 1 or 2 went for 80-2. He had a pretty dominant game, but he got injured. He didn't produce the past 2 games, so he's fallen here. If we flip the schedule around and he has that big performance last week, Higgins is probably going in the second round still, maybe the third round. He's definitely up the board.
Absolutely. So we have an interesting dynamic. We got Lamar off the board. I'm guessing Fields is going to go here to the number 1 drafter. So we're going to get out. Oh, maybe not. No, they did not. What do you feel about Fields if he comes back to us here? He has the most touchdown passes in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, past 2 games have been pretty good, he's looking great again. Is it getting Chase Claypool out of there? I don't know, but might just be the bad defenses. Either way, I think the confidence, they're putting him out on designed runs again, which they didn't do for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. He had almost no designed runs. There were some scrambles. He's gonna break the pocket no matter what.
Mhm.
But now we see the passing efficiency with DJ Moore and the designed runs, which is why he's been going so high this entire time. He's always had the ability to go for 30, 40 points just off the big playability. And man, he just looked good. Like, again, it's bad defenses, but you don't see every quarterback doing this against bad defenses. He was just tearing it up past 2 weeks. And so I think if he's fallen, it's an absolute smash.
For sure. We might get him here. We have a couple other options. We have Burrow sitting around, which I don't know if we need to take Burrow in the 5th. Jahmyr Gibbs is dropping. That's an interesting name if we don't get Fields here.
Yeah, the Gibbs, I'm really torn on that. That was one of the guys I did want to bring up earlier. Um, he's elite profile when he was coming out, high draft capital, and they just don't seem interested. David Montgomery is playing pretty decently, you can't fault the guy, but they are not using him whatsoever.
I'm not as off on Gibbs as it sounds like you might be. There is usage there. He's a young running back. Once we get Anthony Richardson, interesting. Once we get later on in the year, I think Gibbs could be a player coming down the stretch. Should we just lock up Fields here? We're going to go ahead and take Justin Fields.
Don't know what just
I think
happened.
we lost Trev. Oh, you're back, Trev.
Internet went out for a split second, but we got Fields for the day.
I wanted to know if you wanted Gibbs or Fields, and we just locked up Fields for you.
Yeah, I was definitely Fields there.
Fields does open up some pretty interesting stuff from a team perspective. Where in the world is Kyle Pitts going to fall to in this? Maybe we get him in like the 13th round or something. Pretty interesting at that stage.
Man, where's Johnny Smith going to go? That's a more important question we should be asking.
All right. We got a whole bunch of garbage up at the top of the board right now. Chubb, let's not take Burrow. Stevenson, Harris, Williams. Gibbs is looking pretty good. You interested in George Kittle in the 6th?
I am not that interested in George Kittle personally. I'm much more interested in Gibbs.
Yeah.
They have been
to a gross part here.
Yeah. But I was gonna say with Gibbs, it seems like when they had those leading scripts, he isn't gonna do much. They do want to just run the ball 25 times with Montgomery. That's how it's gonna be. Amon-Ra's gonna get his targets. But we haven't seen them fall behind too much in games. And I think that's interesting where if they are behind, is that where Gibbs is really going to start to shine?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things that always just in the back of my head with Detroit, we got 3 dome games finishing out the year. That's good for Jahmyr Gibbs. So we'll get Gibbs on the team. We now are officially robust RB bros, Trev. How does that make you feel?
The testosterone is absolutely flowing, Two wide receivers. We got our early round quarterback, our 3 running backs. It feels amazing.
Yeah, it's a great day to be great here.
It's like I got a weighted blanket on me. It's just, man, 3 running backs. Whew, it's a great feeling.
All right, let's take a quick look at King Coakley's team. We got AJ Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Debo, Drake London, Terry McLaurin. He seems like he's just playing the hits over here.
It's a good old fashioned 5th, 6th round Drake London, Terry McLaurin doing that all summer. Yeah, his looks like a preseason, or not preseason, but 4 weeks kicked off draft, and
yeah,
can't feel too bad about it. There is something that I wanted to bring up, unless did already go. Well, one of the guys. I see Nico Collins went at the 4-2. What are you thinking about Tank Dell? Because I'm all in on this Texans team.
That's a really interesting name. I haven't taken him in any of these DK in seasons yet. When you say you're all in, like what round are you talking?
I mean, I think here, like, Tank Dell is a pretty good pick. I was gonna mention Damian Pierce. I thought we might be able
Mhm.
to wait on it, and then internet went out, kind of left my mind. But
Yeah.
they're just producing. Stroud's over 300 yards per game, and it's basically just the three receivers with Robert Woods in the back, and not a lot of tight end usage. Running backs aren't getting a lot of targets. So Dell
Mhm.
and Collins have just been switching off big games, and I don't see it stopping. Like a start like this from a rookie, you expect them to get better down the stretch. I think he's
Absolutely.
very interesting in the 7th round. I don't know what you think about them.
I want to take a peek at what else is out there, but I'm definitely not opposed. So right now on our team, we have quarterback Justin Fields, running backs Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, and Jameer Gibbs, and at wide receiver CD Lamb and T Higgins. Makes sense to go wide receiver, maybe in both of these picks.
Definitely. And there's a lot of receivers that are way down the board that could be interesting because of, you know, they're way down the board.
Hmm.
Tutu is someone who I assume he'd be the third wide receiver on the Rams, but we've seen that offense start to take off again. Addison's kind of working his way up, but still behind Osborne. Is he going to fall?
I like
There's definitely
Addison potentially. Oh,
Johnston
here's a
is.
name for you,
Ooh,
Jamison Williams.
man, where are
Eh,
you on Jameson Williams?
probably not in the 7th round.
Yeah,
He
okay.
still only did get one catch last year. Let's not jump the shark.
It's definitely one of those things where you can make a case both ways very strongly. Where great talent. Are we on the clock?
Yeah.
I'm fine with Addison, or if we want to go with Tank, either or.
Uh, I say we take Addison here and see if we can push Tank around the corner.
That works for me. Uh, but with Jameson, like I was saying, had the terrible injury, came back, wasn't playing a lot, only had one catch. It's not great.
Mhm.
And then he has the suspension. He's not practicing with the team, but his
He hasn't
role,
even been in contact with the team until this week as part of his suspension.
yeah, but on that Lions team, he's there. They don't have a lot of talent. It's Josh Reynolds out there as the number 2 right now. They were running out Marvin Jones Jr. at the beginning of the season for whatever reason. He's going to be playing. He's going to be sprinting down the field faster than most players in the league. It's pretty easy to paint a picture where he is having these 25, 30-point games and he only needs a few catches. But the vibes are absolutely atrocious around him.
They sure are. All right. Well, your guy Tank went. My guy that I was also going to push for here, Sam Laporta went. Any of the tight ends that are underperforming here jumping out at all to you, or do you want to go back to wide receiver, running back?
I think I'm back on wide receiver still. I think a lot of those guys are going to be falling, or unless you're really interested in Ingram, who's been pretty consistent, but he hasn't scored, so he hasn't been jumping off the page at tight end.
No, not interested in Ingram.
Okay,
What wide receiver do you want? I'm cool with any of them. Tell me one, or else we're getting JMO.
it would be Judy here for me. I think honestly above Jameson.
Yeah, for sure. I want to be in on Jamison Williams. Don't get me wrong. It's so risky. So risky. And with an 8-person final, I don't know if we need to take that risk.
And I think especially with our start, we went running back heavy. And if we're taking Jameson Williams and he is just he's running 20 routes a game early, we could get buried. And with the Denver receivers, the team is not good. The defense is bad. They're throwing the ball, and Russ looks better. It's not great. He's not balling out like people thought when he got traded to Denver. But Judy's healing up from his injury, and if they just continue to have to throw, he's gonna be
Mhm.
getting the ball. He's gonna be making some big plays. And worst comes to worst, he might get traded to Carolina. and be an alpha as the only receiver who exists there.
I'm not sure if that makes me like him better if he's on Carolina, to be completely honest with
I'm
you.
trying to paint a pretty picture. It's not. Oh, Adam Thielen in the 8th round. Speaking of Carolina,
Yeah. One of the interesting things in these draft rooms, and you all can kind of see it going on in our screen right now, is when to pull players up. I thought Sam Laporta was buried enough that we could at least wait until the 8th round about him. But drafter here right before us saw that value, went and got him. Very, very conscious of doing this. The ADP is going to start to resettle over the next day or two. But even during the Sunday games this week, this tournament's going to be open. The ADP is not going to be right. It'll have started to shift, but you'll still see values on people like Ford, maybe even QJ, different players that are just severely mispriced over the next few days. So while we're in one of the first drafts, this information, what you're seeing here of guys to potentially pull up, is still going to be actionable probably until next Tuesday or Wednesday.
yeah, and you can see how there's a bunch of Team 4 is pretty similar to ADP as it's on the board. You know, Eckler, Olave, Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk was pushed up a little, but that's pretty much off the board. Then we have Team 12, Kyron in the 3rd, Jerome Ford and Tank Dell at the 7-8 turn, who are probably both down in the 200s. Like they are way down the board. So all these rooms will be so different, and there's going to be some type of value, whether it's underperforming players, players coming back from injuries, or just people are forgetting about guys, forgetting about Kyron, forgetting about Tank Dell, and they're falling.
Well, and that, like, you could even say that we probably missed a chance or two at some of these guys just because we're, streaming the draft here and we haven't scrolled down that much yet to see, hey, who's sitting down in the 200s? Or like Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier is a way better pick than this one, this one, this one, this one. Oh, no, not Herbert. Herbert's looked pretty good. Tyler Algier might be the next best running back on the board right now, and he's 10 down.
Yeah, like him or Khalil Herbert are pretty easily the top 2 running backs left. We're not looking there at the moment, but at pick 105, we've seen Khalil Herbert start to take over a little. We see Algier has the massive contingent upside, and they are falling. Do we want to push it around the corner at tight end with a couple options, or is there a guy to pull the trigger on?
I'm not worried about taking any of these guys here. I'd rather get another wide receiver. Any names jumping out, players you want me to dig down for?
I think, man, JSN is interesting, I think, here.
Yeah, let's do it. We're getting JSN at pick 105. That's later than he went in any offseason drafts, pretty much. And it's buying into a player who's already going to have their buy out of the way. Sounds good to me.
And it's not talent the reason that he's not performing. I would say, he's getting the super, super low ADOT. If Lockett or DK did get injured, he's probably going to move into one of those roles. They don't really have a 4th receiver who's worth much on that team. He's easily at least the 3rd best receiver on that team, just from a pure talent perspective. So I think he's one of those guys who his upside is ridiculous for where you're getting him.
Absolutely. And I'm kind of mad at the 11 hole right now. I was going to try to sell you on Geno Smith here in the 10th round.
What are the quarterbacks looking like? Oh, I know we have Fields.
We have a pretty large exposure to Dak here with having Pollard and CD.
I think Dak is one of those guys who might fall just because he hasn't been performing.
And we have all of his weapons.
Yeah. There's nothing else jumping out to me particularly.
Rob Coakley. Shame on you. Jumping the shark, taking Rashee Rice. I wanted him later. Do you want to go Dak here or Algier?
I think I'd rather grab Algier here, and we're basically done at running back.
Yeah, so let's go through the team. We'll see if we're done at running back. We have Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Tyler Algier. At quarterback, we have Justin Fields. At wide receiver, we have CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Addison, Judy, and JSN. We might for sure be done at running back. I could see us throwing on a really late value if we see something around. I don't see a reason to force another running back on this team.
Yeah, there's one guy who I think I'd still be interested in. I don't know where he's gonna go. Oh, well, actually, never mind. I was gonna say Dowdle. We have Pollard, so a little less
Yeah.
interesting.
A tournament like this, you could almost sell me on handcuffing because we just need to get running back points. In R20 Dowdle, in case Tony Pollard missed a week, it's not the worst thing ever.
Definitely not the worst.
With how we're going to be 6 weeks in, injuries, a decreased player pool, less variation out there, like our 18, 19, and 20 are going to get ugly. Handcuffing is not the worst thing that could happen.
That's true. And is Jeff Wilson still on the board? That's definitely a guy who I think later will be around. Yeah, him. What are you thinking for this next pick? Kyle Pitts is still there. We have Cole Kmet as a stack. There's a couple places we could go.
You could sell me on a Pitts Kmet and be done at the position.
Oh, man.
It's tough.
He is out there. He's running routes, and he's just doing absolutely nothing. Kmet, we've seen perform. I might honestly say that we should grab Kmet first. Just from pure quarterback, like we're already making a bet on Fields. So getting the stack with him or if Mooney's still around is always an option. But
yeah, he's getting more targets. He's getting more yards. He's got 3 touchdowns. Yeah. That hurts my soul to say, let's take Cole Kmet over Kyle Pitts.
It feels disgusting saying that out loud, but it's hard to make a case for Kyle Pitts because he's out there. He's doing everything that we want from him. And the offense is just so abysmal around him. It's like you are just praying that he gets short targets and gets the yards after the catch. Like that's the only way it seems like he's going to start producing.
Or they make a switch and they go to Taylor Heineke, and you hope that works.
Yeah, that might be the only way to save this season for Pitts. God, it's so sad. He's out. He's just.
He's getting a lot of wind sprints in, so like it's good for his cardio and his health.
Oh yeah, he's just getting back from that injury, just really, really making sure the muscles are working.
All right, so we lost Dak Prescott over here. We have multiple teams going 2 QBs already. We have a 3 QB team. We might want to consider going 1 QB on this build. Got folks like Daniel Jones still out there, though.
I think we definitely want to push it at the very least.
Yeah. Do you want to just lock in Cole Kmet here?
Yeah, let's lock in Cole Kmet. His role is basically what we want out of a tight end. You know, he's just out there, he's running routes, and he's getting a lot of targets for the position, I'd say. So I don't even think he should be falling this far realistically. Just in comparison to where we saw a lot of guys go, like Kittle is not getting as many targets. He's got way more weapons around him. They've got an elite running game, and he went rounds and rounds earlier.
Okay, we lost the dream for Kyle Pitts. Uh-oh. It's over. No more Pitts for us.
At the end of the day, that might make us some money that we didn't draft Kyle Pitts.
It sure might. So we have a few different quarterback options on the board here. I mean, Daniel Jones hurts going past here, but he's been so bad besides the one game. I'm not opposed going deeper on this if we want to. Where are you thinking on this one?
I think I'm still waiting on it. I think
Okay.
I just want to keep pushing it down. There is it's not too nice around there. What are the receivers looking at? I still feel a little light just with how we
Yeah.
started. Mooney
MVS
is
and Shaheed look all right. Maybe Wandale.
I would be Mooney or MVS here.
All right. Let's go with MVS.
All right, that works for me.
And I think we might have missed it by one moment. And folks, this is why in these drafts, it's pretty important. Just toss somebody in the queue. You've actually seen me doing it, just throwing people in the queue that maybe we might take, maybe we might not, because you don't want to be the idiot who times out and takes Nick Chubb.
Not great. But he's a real team leader. I think it's going to be good to have him in the locker room for our team, just really inspiring all of the players to just play their best while they can.
And that one hurts because I was very excited about this team. We'll run through it here real quick. I actually don't think it's not the end of the world because it is a 12th round pick. We'll be all right. We have Justin Fields, Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, Jahmyr Gibbs, Tyler Algier, and Nick Chubb at running back. We have CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Addison, Judy, JSN at wide receiver. So we need a little bit more work there. And we have Cole Kmet as a stack for our tight end. Still not the worst, even with Nick Chubb.
Even with Nick Chubb, we're still alive.
We are. See, we accidentally took Nick Chubb, but someone intentionally took Dalvin Cook, and they're going to score about the same amount of points the rest of the year. At least Chubb has had his bye.
That's a good point. I
All right.
am looking around. What do you think about Musgrave coming up here?
Yes. That's a really nice call. Down at 232. I enjoy it. We'll put him in the queue. So if we time out, we'll get a player who's going to play again this season.
It will not be
I
the end
kind
of
of like Freiermuth here as well.
my reservation is more around he wasn't producing while Deontay Johnson was gone. And he got banged up in a couple of games. But man, if there was any time for him to at least go and get, 5 for 30 inefficiently, you would think that would be where it happens. But just when it's just him and Pickens out there for the most part, Calvin Austin, and he's not doing anything, just the whole offense is a little sad.
It definitely is. As you can see watching right now, I'm just throwing dudes in the queue because I really want to win that $20,000 with no further timeouts.
I mean, be impressive to win the 20,000 with Mike Williams and Nick Chubb.
Yeah. All right. MVS almost came back to us. I was going to have to ask if we want to take him or Musgrave before Rob Coakley, because that would be a tough choice. Do you want to just lock up Musgrave and be done at tight end?
I think we got Musgrave right here.
We now have two tight ends that are running basically the full set of routes for their teams, different bye weeks. We're done at the position.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to need to load at wide receiver at some point. We do have, about 6 picks left here. So we could drop in a second quarterback if we wanted.
Yeah, I'd be fine with another quarterback. I don't think it's super necessary, but I think it's always just nice, especially in the shortened time frame.
Mm-hmm.
If Hurts misses a week plus his bye week, those 2 weeks are about 25% of the tournament up until the playoffs. It would be really unfortunate just to miss out on 30, 40 points right there versus our 8th or 9th receiver that might chip in once or twice throughout the year.
Yeah, absolutely. we'll have an opportunity. There's some guys here that are still okay. Okay is a loose term at this stage of the draft, that I kind of have an eye on. Oh, and I was actually considering Baker Mayfield. He was way down here, and Rob just took him. Wide receiver, what do you want to do? Do you want to lean into a Jalen Hyatt situation? Do we want to get Mooney, but we got Scott potentially later? Where do you want to go?
I think I'm Mooney over Hyatt. There's nothing else I'm seeing that's sticking out to me.
Okay.
It's not great that we're stacking up the Bears without DJ Moore. He's kind of shown that he is as good as we all thought in the preseason over these past couple of weeks. But it's kind of making a bet that Fields is going to be passing the ball well. He's going to be, just scoring touchdowns. That's what we want from Kmet and Mooney. Mooney is on the deep balls, Kmet in the red zone, just looking for him. And that's where you really get the spike weeks. Even if they don't have insane volume, it's not going to be too much of an issue, especially with where we're getting them in the draft.
Yeah. So we should probably just start dropping in wide receivers we like into the queue. So I got 4 guys in there right now. No particular order, just so we have some going down and picking guys out. Tyler Scott, Mingo, Bourne, Hyatt, Downs looks like a potential. Oh, and he just goes. Anybody else that you want me to look for? Or do you want me to scroll through a little bit and we could try to find some guys?
There's nothing I'm seeing. It's really just not that great once you get down here. Hodgins are starting to lose work. Is Slayton still around?
Let's take a look. Darius Slayton is still available. Great.
I think he would probably be up there for me. But yeah, we really got to go soul searching for these guys down here.
Yeah. Deontay Hardy getting work every game. Not the worst dart throw. Throw him in the queue.
Did Wandale already? I'm just thinking of Giants receivers at this point.
Wandale went because at the start of the offseason, he wasn't buried. He only later fell. Yeah, we can see Wandale over here.
Down Cesard. Yeah, man, you would think that with all the buried ADPs, there'd be a lot more receiver options that are we can still grab this guy, but
this draft room's done a really nice job of pulling guys forward. That person in the 12th poll is still having a YOLO draft to some extent. We saw them start off by pulling up Kyron and Kamara and Tua, Jerome Ford along for the journey, Tank Dell. They haven't stopped pulling dudes up. Mims, Reed, Wilson. These are the guys I was hoping we could get about now, and they're just taking them.
Yeah.
Probably a little too early on some of them, but it's their $20. They can do what they want.
Yeah, I would start to consider quarterback around this point, where it just seems pretty dried up.
Well, quarterback, we have the options of Kyler, Derek Carr, Mac Jones, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh man. Okay, maybe we want to go and get Mingo. Maybe we grab Mingo right here.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so now we have a 1-5-7-2. We'll run through the team after our next pick. Mingo hasn't done a whole lot, but he also fits that talented wide receiver late season breakout candidate. And as a 7th wide receiver on our team, I think that's completely fine.
Yeah. I mean, if they're on the field, you assume that it's a decent pick. If they're decent at all, they will get targets. And we see it all the time with the rookies post-bye week. That's when they start to come along. And, you could say it's better or worse when it's Bryce Young and Mingo, both rookies. If they really start to put it together down the stretch and have some chemistry, we could get a couple of big games.
We sure could. And at this stage of the draft, getting guys that are running routes is actually pretty valuable.
That's the main thing they're looking for. All right. Do we want to pull the trigger on just Derek Carr and lock it up, or do we want to keep waiting on this second quarterback?
Let's take a look one more time, see if we have any correlations going on. I don't know. I'm kind of cool waiting. If we end up with one QB and it's Fields, that's fine with me. I
I'm
don't think it's the end of the world.
not against that whatsoever. Which guy are you looking at here? I like
I
Kendrick
have
Bourne.
Okay, let's do Kendrick Bourne. I was just looking around to see if there was anything, and not a whole lot at the other positions.
Definitely
When we
not.
come back, we could go Derek Carr. I have a little week 17 correlation I'm thinking about, but I don't want to say it too loudly in case producer Rob hears me.
Producer Rob is always looking for EV wherever he can get it.
Yeah, because it does potentially mess with his team.
But I think the team is very, very like this is not a team that is comfortable. I think the Nick Chubb pick might be affecting that a little. We missed out on one of those last guys before it fell off. But you can easily paint a picture where for all of our guys, how they're doing better than they are right now. Like Musgrave and Komet are way down the board. I think those were absolute values. And the guys we got at the top are just threats to dominate down the stretch. The whole with Fields and both the Cowboys, all three of those players can finish the week at number one at their position. It's not that difficult to see. ETN, great offense. T. Higgins, we're hoping they bounce back. And even if they don't, it's not like they're good at running the ball, right? They don't have anywhere to go except for passing the ball. So I think it's a really strange team to build, but it's definitely like upside. We didn't really want the floor guys, and now we're filling that out with the last few picks. Kendrick Bourne. Patriots aren't anything special, but he's running routes. If he gets 5 for 70 and that gets in the lineup a couple of times, hey, there we go.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have an interesting team to kind of track the rest of the year here. We have quarterback Justin Fields, at running back Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, Jahmyr Gibbs, Tyler Algier, and the ghost of Nick Chubb. Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Jordan Addison, Jerry Jeudy, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Darnell Mooney, Jonathan Mingo, Kendrick Bourne, and at tight end, Cole Kmet and Luke Musgrave. It's a fun team. I won't lie. If we change Nick Chubb into Daniel Jones, I might like it a little bit more, but I think we're still in the contention here.
Yeah, we're not out of it quite yet. And where are we looking right here?
So we have a couple options coming out to play. We can get Slayton for somebody who's running routes, or we could go Trey Palmer. He's splashed a little bit for Tampa Bay, and I'm kind of interested in that Tampa Bay team down the stretch, especially with the bye out of the way.
Let's go for it.
All right, let's do it. Welcome to the team, Trey Palmer, pick 201.
What do you think so far? What was
you guys are the worst.
That was the pick I was foreshadowing of. This might not make Rob happy.
Man.
What was your question going to be, Trev?
I was gonna ask which of the picks that we had is your favorite so far, just based off value and how you think they're going to do like down the stretch here.
I think it probably has to be Fields in the 5th round after what we've seen the last 2 weeks. I mean, the first 3 weeks were scary, but he shows he still has it. And if he still has it in a tournament like this, I want that guy on my team in the playoffs. I just do.
Oh yeah, I agree. I was Fields, and I loved our little stretch. Besides Chubb from the JSN down to Musgrave, I thought all those were just pretty amazing values.
Yeah.
Wait.
All right, running backs pretty dry. We got Damian Harris lingering. We have wide receivers coming around. We got 10 seconds, Trev. Where do you want to go?
I think we pull the trigger on Slayton here as our last guy.
Okay,
Out wide
let's do it.
receiver.
I did just think of somebody that might have not gotten picked yet. Josh Reynolds, right at like 3 seconds left. I was like, hey, he's probably way down the board. We'll keep him around. We might be able to get him on the way back here. Nobody's drafted him by now because he's down at 291. They might not.
Do we want to go with another receiver? I was thinking maybe we finish this off with quarterback and one last running back.
Yeah,
we have 10 receivers, and with how we started, I'm fine with just sticking at running back. But I think we kind of, even with the Chubb pick, seems like we have a little bit of flexibility right here.
Yeah, let's take a gander. I'm not sure what we're going to find at those positions, but let's do it. So dumpster diving at quarterback. The remaining starting quarterback is Desmond Ridder. How does that make you feel inside?
Not too great, but I'd be willing, honestly.
Zach Wilson is gone. Okay, let's just check it.
Yeah, I think, man, if he's playing well, he won't get benched, right? So if he's playing well, it's kind of a double bet that, he's actually doing decent enough to put up some points and he'll stay as the starter. But he's probably just a fill-in for Justin Fields' bye week.
How do you feel at running back, like someone like Jordan Mason?
I was going to bring up, what is the guy's name? The Cardinals running back. He's been getting a little bit of work.
Yeah, somebody was filling in with Ingram being hurt the other day. Maybe Ingram's post we'll say the dude's name.
DeMarcado. It was Amari DeMarcado.
I will imagine he's not in the Draftkings player pool, but let's see. Oh, it is in the Draftkings player pool.
That's something. There's not a lot around here.
I'm not sure I'm ready to go there. We could do Bill's third string running back, Damian Harris. Jamal Williams will be back in running back touches and routes.
I think it's Jamal Williams.
It's kind of ugly, but he's going to do it. And we lost our Josh Reynolds pick.
Yeah, let's go with Jamal.
Because Jamal,
I'm surprised he lasted this long.
Yeah, he's still out with the hamstring. Doesn't look like he's been moved to he is on short-term injured reserve. It's a hamstring, the 4 weeks on that. So that puts him back about week 7. Don't quote me on that, internet people, but he's not going to miss many games in this tournament.
I think it's a bit better than Amari DeMarcado. So that's where my threshold is for players that are draftable in this tournament. And so I think that's pretty nice.
Yes, that's a great threshold. I've only seen his name now twice written, so I can't even attempt it. But I think it's a good threshold. All right, let's start going through some wide receiver here, see if there's anything at all that piques your interest. A Tyquan Thornton resurrection. Paris Campbell's running routes. Tillman could come on. Deontay Hardy, Quez Watkins, anything making your juices flow, because I don't want Desmond Ridder.
Not especially. It is dealer's choice. You're the one sharing your screen. You're the one doing the draft. I'll let you pick your poison on this 20th round pick.
You know what? We will take Desmond Ridder. Let's just do it. We'll hold our breath. We'll take Desmond Ridder. Let's say Nick Chubb being on our team drops our expected points a little bit, having the second quarterback to fill in for Fields bye week, and maybe he'll beat Fields a few weeks here and there, might just be what we need to be in the top 2 to get out of the first round.
And, if he does get benched, my Kyle Pitts bags may be safe.
Yeah, maybe we're just, leveraging our other teams. We are through the 20th round here in the DraftKings Week 6 NFL best ball tournament, $20 entry, $20,000 to first place. Trev and I are hoping to win that here. We end up with our final team, 2 quarterbacks, Justin Fields and Desmond Ridder. At running back, Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, Jahmyr Gibbs, Tyler Algier, Nick Chubb, and Swagoo himself, Jamal Williams. Wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Jordan Addison, Jerry Jeudy, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Darnell Mooney, Jonathan Mingo, Kendrick Bourne, Trey Palmer, and Darius Slayton, a large wide receiver group. And at tight end, we have Cole Kmet and Luke Musgrave. It's pretty good. What do you think, Trev? Final words on it.
You know, I think the Nick Chubb pick, he's the glue guy. He's going to just bring this all together. We had to change our strategy a little bit because of it. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's going to save us. We're going to get Jamal Williams, week 17, 3 touchdowns. It's just going to be great. We're going to win $20,000. What could go wrong?
Yeah, that lovely week 17 stack of Trey Palmer and Jamal Williams will save us on this team. It's been a fun draft. Thanks, Trev, for joining me. We'll see y'all soon.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.